Hello everyone, today I am starting a Scratch tutorial series. I will be going over different aspects of Scratch and just how to use it for complete beginners. So the first step in making a Scratch project is either going to My Stuff under your profile, or you can just press the Create button that's next to the Scratch icon up there. But I like pressing New Project in My Stuff. Alright, the first thing you might notice is the cat on the top right of our screen. This is going to be where our program is displayed. The cat is our sprite. Down here we can alter where he is on the screen. Right here is you can change his name to whatever you'd like. Over on the left side of our screen here is the various blocks that resemble code. And this is how we are going to code in Scratch. Scratch works on a graph with the X and Y and all that. So to make things easier, I am going to set the background to one large graph. This episode will be mostly focused on the motion category of things. However, we will be needing to go down to the control and event category. As I said beforehand, Scratch works on a graph. If we get this block change x by 10, my x position will increase by 10. If we bring out the change y by 10, our y position will change by 10. And if I press the go to 0, 0, then both x and y will be set to 0. This can also work in the negatives. Typically, whenever you do anything in Scratch, a Save Now button will appear in the top right corner. Make sure you press that or else your project won't be saved. As I've said previously, we will also be needing the event and control categories in order to progress in motion. The most commonly used hat, in my opinion, is the when flag clicked hat, which is the top one. That's just whenever the program starts. However, there's also when key is pressed, and as you can guess, it's any key, and whenever it's pressed, any block below it will play. For example, I'm pressing the up arrow key and I have it set to make my character's Y position go up by 10. However, whenever you go into more advanced coding, it's better to have a combination of when flag clicked block, forever block, and an if then block. This way you have more control over what happens when it happens and whenever it doesn't. I also forgot to mention that we will also be going into the sensing category, just touching up on it. We're not really going into detail, as I said. So you see that little diamond in the middle of if and then? There's a lot of diamonds in the sensing category. They're kind of like triggers to make the thing in the middle of the if then block happen. In this case, we want when key press. Also, quick note here, if you right-click the top of a block sequence, you can duplicate it, so that's what I'm going to be doing here to save some time. So what I'm going to be doing here is corresponding the key with the direction of where the sprite goes. For example, the up arrow key, you want it to go up, and so you gotta do change Y by 10, or however fast you want the sprite to move, and right arrow key, change X by 10, left arrow key, -10, down arrow key, -10, but on the Y-axis, you get what I'm saying. We will also be getting a when flag clicked block on top of the go to 0, 0 block. So that way we always start in the middle. With Scratch projects, to get the program running, you have to press the little green flag at the top left of the main screen. As you can see, I am pressing the arrow keys and it's making my little guy move. Whenever you wish to stop the project, simply press the little stop sign next to the green flag. The next block type we are going to be covering is the change direction by block. And as you can guess, the block changes what direction our sprite is facing. As you can see, I am making our little guy do a little flip. And if I press the other one, you can turn him. The interesting thing about this is that you can actually put negative on one of them, and it'd be positive on the other. You might be wondering, how does this help with anything? Well, in some games, it is an eagle-eye view, and it is 2D, so you could have it moving in the direction that it is facing. This is where the move block comes into play. You see, the move block makes the sprite move into the direction that it's facing, or the exact opposite direction that it's facing. Right now, we have change X and change Y by. However, this allows it to change both X and Y at the same time. It is a different type of control scheme. As you can see, I'm only changing my X. This is because I am facing perfectly 90 degrees. However, if I change my direction, I will be going in the direction that I'm looking. This also works in reverse if you do it in negative, move negative 10 steps, or negative number in general, depending on how fast you want to make him. So let's get some movement schemes. Every time we press up, we will move 10 steps, and every time we press the left or right arrow key, then we will turn in that direction. Now, previously I made our arrow keys make us go in only one direction, and that's for simplicity's sake, but I'm going to change the scheme to the classic WASD scheme, as per most video games in modern time on PC. Alright, now our arrow keys are going to be doing directional movement, and our keys WASD are going to be doing standard movement. Yep, looks like everything checks out. The next block we're going to look at is the go-to block. Right now it is set to go to random position, and that's what our sprite will do if we press it. We can, however, change this to go to mouse pointer. This would be great for point-and-click games, and you could make the sprite look like a cursor. However, that's not what we're going to be doing today. The next block we're going to be looking at has a similar function to the go-to block. However, it actually shows the movement, and you can change how long it takes for them to get there. Now, the cool thing about this block is if we get another sprite and we get that block out, we can actually set it to go to that sprite. We can set that sprite's position to the other sprite's position. We can also make it glide to that sprite's position. We can also change how long it takes for our original sprite to go to the other sprite. This next block is one of my favorites. It's the point to block. It changes the direction to whatever you set it to. It can look at another sprite, your mouse pointer, etc. The cool thing about this block is that if you want an enemy in your game to be chasing the player, you can have it point towards the player and move 10 steps. The next block we're going to be looking at is another variation of the glide block, except it's glide to a set position. So glide to X position and Y position. It'll glide to that point in the map. It's basically the go-to block, except you can see the route of trajectory and change how fast it goes to that position. We can also set the X position and the Y position individually by set X2 and set Y2 blocks. The next block we're going to be looking at is the set rotation style 2 block. The first style of rotation is the don't rotate block, or at least that's the first type of rotation style that we're going to be looking at. Right now we can spin all around, but if we set it to don't spin, then our direction will change, however, we won't see it on the sprite. The second type of rotation we're going to be looking at is the one we've been using, called all around. And that's just the standard type of rotation. We can make him do a little backflip if we wanted to. Third type we're going to be looking at is the left-right. This is if you want to do a platformer or anything like that, or if you just don't want them to be upside down. Basically, the style of rotation makes you look left if your direction is in the negatives, and look right if it's in the positives. Yeah, Scratch doesn't do a full 360, and it gets very confusing. Next, if there is the if on edge bounce, basically it just flings you into the other direction like a DVD logo if you go onto any of the edges of the screen. Lastly, we have the little ovals. If you press them, you get to see where your X position, Y position, and direction is. These are very useful whenever using the operators section and doing equations and math and stuff like that. Anyways, that's the end of this episode. If you want to see more content like this, please like and subscribe. One more thing to add is that you can change the name of the project at the top there, as I'm doing now. Anyways, part 2 will be coming soon. It will be on the looks category. So stay tuned for that. Anyways, you guys have a nice day.